Hey, what's up? This is another episode of Watch You Strappin. And actually, this is kind of a rare part two or part B of episode 115 that I did the other day. Uh, this felt kind of a little bit rushed, and I still don't have a lot of time, but I just wanted to, I guess, give a little bit more of my first impressions about this watch before I actually do a review on it, just to get it out there. Again, I've been looking for I've always been attracted to a Pepsi bezel, and this was back before I even knew what a Pepsi bezel was. I just liked a bezel that had red and blue accents on it, and I'd gotten several other watches before that had that, but nothing ever really stood or kept around in the collection for one reason or another. And yeah, I just haven't had one in my collection. It seems like a good while, and I've been wanting one back and looking around. And I was going to go. There's a couple options. Maybe the new 5KXs. There was like a JDM version of it's basically an SKX style, but it's Seiko 5 now, and it's got the Pepsi bezel, but then it's got a much more nice, vibrant blue dial, and it's got that applied indices and all the other upgrades that you guys probably already know about it. But I just did not feel like going. I've done several SKXs and they're great watches, but I just didn't feel compelled to go back to that style watch again for some reason. And I'm actually trying to keep my watch sizes 40 and under as well. Although the SKX at almost 43 wears quite well due to the very short lug to lug. But I digress. And there's I really it's the only thing I could say is I was thinking about going back to Steinhardt. They make great quality watches, and I do like their Ocean 39 series. 39 millimeters, quite good, and it's a solid build. And I've been happy with my last two, I guess. So I was going to do the Pepsi GMT, which looks very close to one like a Rolex model, but it's around $500, and you can get it with the option with a Jubilee bracelet, and I thought that would have been nice. And I was thinking of actually maybe picking back up the premium GMT 500, the one that has the Batman ceramic colors. And that way, because that one doesn't come on a Jubilee, so then if I got both, then I could exchange the Jubilee off of the Pepsi version. And I do prefer, I was going to go with that because, and I do prefer Pepsi or red and blue bezel in aluminum versus ceramic. I haven't seen a good ceramic version. I had the vintage Ocean 39 that you might have seen earlier in one of my other videos, which is very cool, but I've had some, in retrospect, I had some issues with the way it was done. It wasn't, that red and blue was just dull and not vibrant. And I get it's supposed to be a vintage look, so it's toned down, but it didn't work for me. And the only other one that got really close to liking was, which I also owned before, was the Squally Atmos 30 Atmos. It's 40 millimeters. It's slightly smaller than the previous older 30 Atmos, so it's not the same. I think those were 42, so the newer ones is 40. It's a little bit slimmer. It's a limited kind of run, not necessarily a limited edition, but they just don't make that many. Sold exclusively through Noman, and I had one of those. That was really cool. If you wanted a more modern Rolex GMT style, GMT Master 2 style watch with a ceramic bezel. They did the red really nice on that. It almost looks aluminum. It's got this nice sheen and kind of dynamic look to it, but I didn't like it because the top half was, the blue part was just too bright and vibrant. It was like the blue from the Batman bezel, and so it was very flat. It was very uniform looking, and it's bright. And it just didn't match the bottom half where the red looks deeper and more aluminum. And to be honest, that type of bezel, I thought it was unique at first, but having looked around, especially at some of the mod parts that Mark at Long Island Watches, when he was doing his SKX mods, and looking around at the SKX community, you can see that same type of ceramic bezel that has a deep, almost aluminum looking red part half, but the top half is like a really bright blue that just doesn't match to me. It's vibrant. It's not bad, but it's just looks like two different things going on. So the only thing to do is to go back to aluminum because it has this sheen, and the red and blue usually match and have a, looks similar. So then basically I saw a video of this and I said, you know what, this looks pretty good from what I saw. And there's only been really one, maybe two videos on this, but one really that kind of was short, but it showcased it pretty nicely. And I was like, okay, I think this is the way to go. And I really like the, sorry about the airplane passing overhead. If you can see through the drill through lugs, which will help with strap changes, which I like to do, as you know. And I like actually this unique case shape. It's almost, this watch is actually with the the top hat crystal is about a little over 13 millimeters, almost SKX thickness, I think. But if you minus that, it's actually a bit thinner. But what helps is it's not a giant slab of a case, which can make it look thicker than it should be. And I don't usually like those big fat slabby cases. And what helps here is that it's sectioned off. You can see one of these days I'll take this off because I only have one hand right now, but when I do review you can see that it almost looks like there's a mid case, this part of the lug, and then there's the section that sticks up out of it, and then there's the bezel, or is that part of it? I think the bezel might be separate. I have to have a closer look. And then there's a case back, and so you got this layering effect, which helps to break up the sides, and it makes it look thinner than it actually is. And I don't know, I think it's a cool look, and the way the top hat crystal kind of comes out, it's not overly done. I think it's just enough. And although this bezel lock is a bit redundant because it's a unidirectional dive bezel, actually, that they just put a GMT insert in, so you can use it. It will lock it in both directions, so it really won't move. But in actual practice, I mean, really, the unidirectional locking bezel would have done just fine. But that's all right. I mean, this is part of the Superman heritage design, so. And I think it's kind of neat. It just adds this kind of what's that going on here? A little extra bit that's kind of visually interesting, at least to me. Some people might find it a little distracting. They might prefer it off and just have a clean bezel, but I don't mind. It's something different, and that's how I kind of went with this. The case shape is unique. It's a French watch brand, and I think they did something unique with the dial and hands and everything, and overall. And so it doesn't look like many mass-produced GMT Master type of watches, which are cool, and I'm into those. But I really I appreciate the fact this is done differently, and I really like the red and blue really pops up, and it's nice that it's all brushed. A nice H-link. I believe this width is 21 because it kind of comes out and meets the case, and so it almost looks integrated in a way, which is kind of cool look too. And so that 21 millimeters, I believe, tapers down to, I believe there's a 16. So it's a nice taper, so it's very comfortable. It's pin and collar system, which is fine. There's all sorts of systems, and I've never found any one to be that inconvenient to work with and insecure. And this was a cinch to size. And yeah, I think overall it's a very cool looking watch. And hopefully it's running a little bit faster than I want. I think it's at least 5 seconds a day, maybe 10, but we'll see. I'll give it a run for a while before I might go in and try to tweak it so that it's a little bit not as fast, but I prefer it faster than slower. So all you gotta do is hack it and then let actual time catch up, and disengage the hack, and then you're synced up again. And so it's pretty neat that this aluminum bezel actually has those numbers and dots are loomed too. Not the brightest. The triangle is pretty good, but I appreciate the fact that they actually did try to loom it, and so you got all loomed indices, and it's kind of neat how the GMT hand, it's just a red triangle and the rest of it is black. So for most part, it looks like it's a floating triangle that just moves around the outer perimeter, which gives it kind of a cleaner look. You don't have this line of a, the hand that you can see coming out here, which is not terrible, but I think the fact that it looks, you don't see it that usually, that the arm of that hand, it just kind of disappears. It's kind of neat to just see that red triangle just out there, and the rest, most of the center of the dial is kind of clean and just your timekeeping. That's all I got to say. It's getting kind of longer than I wanted, but I just wanted to add this to as a supplemental video. I didn't get a chance to say as much on the last one, so that's it. Look for a review probably in a few weeks. I want to give this a good run before I do that. Until then, enjoy your watches, and I am here too. Thanks, bye.